Hello and welcome to the Game Buzz. It seems like only a day or two since we were last. Oh, that's because we were.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I'm Matt, and I'm joining here once again by Carl.
Hello.
And yes, we kind of had to do one midweek after the Xbox 180, as it's being called.
Yes.
Microsoft did their big fat U-turn. But before we dive into Expo and stuff, I think we need to devote a couple of minutes to CD Projekt, who have once again won the CD Projekt Award for being awesome.
Oh, good God, yes. Yeah, the moment it's the longest day of no DRM sale thing. And there's just so many good deals, so many good packages. I mean, where do you start? I mean, you've got the strategy bundle, where you've got things such as Masters of Orion and Alpha Centauri, and then you've got the Bullfrog Classics one, which just seems to have pretty much everything apart from Theme Park, which is a little disappointing. But then you've got stuff like, reductions on Fez, you've got Hotline Miami, and the Fair and Square selection, I think, is probably the best bundle I've ever seen. Like the Deus Ex games and Anachronox. For the love of God, get Anachronox while it's on offer. Oh, God, I love that game.
It's really good. It's really good. And you get Thief 1 to 3 as well.
Exactly. Well, you do get Daikatana as well, but we won't mention that so much.
No, we can edit that out.
We can skip that. It's fine. We can beep it. It's
because
cool.
As you know, every time you mention Daikatana, someone dies.
Someone becomes John Romero's bitch, and I'm not being responsible for that. So no.
So we'll probably edit that out, probably if we can be asked.
If we can. But by all means, go check out. We've got a post on there which gives you a rundown and a link straight to the main listing. So please do go check it out, because all of the savings and all of the games.
And buy FTL.
Oh, but yes, I will judge you if you don't. FTL, come on. Come on. It's less than £2 for one of the best games of last year. You have to get it if you don't already.
Also, The Witcher 2.
That too. Oh, good God. Yes, just I can't contain myself by how many good games.
Pint. You can have The Witcher 2. Oh my God, this world doesn't make sense, and I love it. So yeah, CD Projekt once again win the CD Projekt Award for being awesome. And they're also expanding. News came out this week that they have they're in the process of opening a new studio up in Warsaw.
Yep.
And which will be working on 2 slightly smaller games, we gather, which we're all for.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we've seen the quality of the stuff they can bring out on a AAA sort of budget. So I'd be really interested to see what they come out with the smaller teams. And obviously, it's a lot smaller in terms of gameplay time and everything else. So I'm really interested, very excited to see what they come out with.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's a very different sort of discipline, like making an enormous 50-hour, mature, divergent storyline RPG like The Witcher. And going from that to sort of like, this is sort of 15 to 20-hour long games, which is still, well, actually, it's kind of longer than some AAA singles.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm really excited to see what they come out with. So yeah, CD Projekt, we love you.
We really do.
Have all of the hugs. From something we love to something we just can't wrap our heads around, really, because new news keeps coming out every single day about the Xbone. So let's deal with it. If you haven't listened to our big Xbox 180 podcast, please do so, and then wade in with your thoughts. But there's been a lot of reaction this week to Microsoft's just endless stream of press releases and stuff. GameStop and GameFly, that the retailers have got in on the action. They've applauded the decision to make this U-turn. It's been getting, as the week's gone on, we've had some seriously mixed reactions on this. Because obviously there are some people, lots of consumers are praising it. Lots of consumers are lamenting what it is that we've kind of lost before we even had it.
Yeah.
And both sides do have a point. I mean, we said this the other day, but why can't they find this middle ground?
Absolutely. The more I think about it, the more I wonder why they couldn't have had it so that the option was there, as you said in the Game Buzz. Please do go give it a listen, because there was a lot to get through, and we don't want to go over old ground again. But it really is. Why didn't they go for like half and half? It's almost as if Microsoft have basically thrown their toys out of the pram because they can't get what they want, and it's really. It is frustrating, the fact that it is all or nothing, and I don't understand why they haven't gone for a sort of compromise.
I agree, and the thing is, like, because we love choice. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Giving consumers choice is the same as giving consumers confidence. Really, you kind of want to put a little bit of faith in your consumer audience to make the right choice. And I think like we spoke about communication. If they'd taken it from that sort of angle, like gone, okay, sub-consumers, you're going to be faced with a number of options this next gen, but look at what you can do if you shack up with us. Like, look at what you can do if you buy into our digital vision. Like, look at all this stuff. Like, of course you can still use those crappy old discs if you really want to. And if you come and join us in our digital mansion made of dreams and whimsy, like, you can share all of your things with all of your chums, any game, anytime, anywhere. That would have been a much better slogan than whatever. I can't even remember what it was.
So that's the thing. It was just so. I mean, admittingly, a lot of the press that was out there that were talking to Microsoft at E3 were focusing on the negatives. So they were very much on the defensive. And I don't think they had the chance to really push the positives. But at the same time, they should have really fought to really tell the positives. Because then we wouldn't necessarily be focusing so much on the downside, and the backlash perhaps wouldn't be necessarily as bad as we saw. But then at the same time, I mean, we had the reports this week of the heartbroken Microsoft employee who wrote that huge blog, basically saying, you know, he was heartbroken about how the whole thing had turned around and the U-turn had happened. And there's that huge post there. Do give it a listen, give it a read even, because it is a very interesting post. But he goes on to basically spend a good few paragraphs talking about the family sharing thing. Now, I was under the understanding that basically we'd be sharing full games. Like, you'd have your list of friends and family, you'd share them on, and that's how it would work. And I actually kind of liked the sound of that. We still needed more details about like who we could send them to, if they had to be residing in the same address or have the same name or stuff like that. Microsoft did not give any details about that, but this guy did in his blog post. And he said that you could have put anybody on your friends and family list, which is brilliant. The bit I didn't like was the fact that it was essentially a 45-minute demo of the game that they had access to. Surely that's what demos are for. Sure, I mean, yes, okay, you've got to. Well, actually, yeah, it's kind of like at the end of it, you would get offered a license and, you know, buy it now. But at the same time, if you can't sell your game in a normal demo, then I can't see why necessarily the first 45 minutes of a game is going to do any better job.
Thing is, like, we've said that's quite a nice model for free to play.
Yeah.
And sort of, you know, demos where you then have the option to pay for a full game at the end are a great idea. But this is not game sharing. This is something completely different. This is bollocks.
It's an elaborate demo. This is kind of like a preferential demo system. So you look at your friends. If you're on the friends and family, you look at the games that your friends got and go, oh, right, yeah, I'm going to give that a go. But surely you can see what games they've been playing anyway on their profiles, or, you know, talk to them, and then download the demo or go online and have a look at impressions or things like that. So I suppose it's to get away from having to go and read articles, but I suppose it's still the fact that it's still a demo.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this highlights the thing I was getting at in my article on Friday, which is that I just don't think the industry's ready. We haven't worked out how to move forward into this digital age, and Microsoft's way clearly isn't the right way. And this whole demo thing, that's not the point. If you'd said your games anytime, anywhere. People would have gone batshit crazy for it.
Absolutely.
That is something awesome. That is something tangible. That is something really easy to understand.
Yeah.
And it's something that no one else is doing.
Absolutely. I mean, the nearest we have, well, it's a very similar system to how On Live worked. You know, you had like a 15 to 30-minute demo of the full game, but of course the advantage with that was you didn't have to download anything. You just pressed play and you got to play it for 15 or 30 minutes. And that works. But because you were having to download the game in full anyway, and then would have the ability to unlock it through a license afterwards, it seems really long-winded and, like I say, pointless for what was essentially a demo, really.
Exactly, that's not really sharing. You'd assume that on a digital marketplace, if they're doing demos properly, you'd just be able to do that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's I view the U-turn as something that's problematic in and of itself, but then this whole thing has been a shambles.
Yeah.
Because we're not ready. And the thing is, before we can move forward into this, into a sort of industry-wide digital future, we're going to have to sort out how the hell we're all going to do that, because like there's nothing there for retailers right now. And so, of course, they're going to do everything to ensure their own survival at this stage.
Absolutely.
But I do think that like if Microsoft had just sort of presented both, and I don't know, I have no idea sort of the hardware implications of that. I have no idea how hard that would have been to implement, but I can't see it being that much difficult than creating the digital stuff in the first place. Like all you would have needed was every time you pop that disc in, the opt-in thing comes up.
Yeah.
And that would have been perfect. Like it's like, do you want to join us on this wonderful digital adventure, or do you just want to play games as you always have? And the thing is, they could have then completely incentivized that.
Absolutely.
To buy into digital wonderfully. But, you know, we'll have to see. Because as pretty much everyone involved in Next Gen has said, it's not a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. Things are going to change. This coming generation, we're going to see so much change.
Oh, absolutely.
Throughout the course of the generation. So it'll be interesting to see how this stands a couple of years down the line.
Yeah, whether they don't just flick the switch again and turn it all back on as quickly as they've turned it all off. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting and exciting generation for consoles.
I agree, and I do think like one of the other points, finally, that I made was that one way in which we might be able to sort of have the best of both worlds as it stands right now is through these services such as PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold. Like if that's where the platform holder incentivizing must come from. And then if they can build digital feature sets into those systems where you opt in and you're paying them on a yearly or monthly basis, and maybe they start tiering them as like the more impressive stuff start coming along. I don't know. But that would be a way of incentivizing people to go digital. And because it already happens on PlayStation Plus, you already get those discounts on the PSN. I mean, they're not great. They need to be better. They need to be competitive.
Yeah.
But that's one way in which, you know, we could sort of move forward in this regard, and players could choose between digital and physical media.
Exactly. Choice is good. Give us choice.
We like choice.
Please.
Actually, speaking of choice, this brings us on to another thing that Microsoft have come under fire for this. They're just taking flack from all quarters, but
they'll never win.
Very much rightfully so in this case, because one of the big things we've said ever since the news came out is Microsoft, what are you doing about indies? Like the PlayStation and the Wii U are offering freedom to self-publish, and Microsoft are essentially saying you need a publisher.
Yeah. Which is, that has not gone down well with some indie developers, such as Phil Fish, the guy who was behind indie hit Fez. He has come out basically saying that when it comes to publishing on next-gen consoles, Fez 2 will not be appearing on the Xbox, at least not anytime soon, at least, because of the way that he cannot self-publish, and of course the whole fiasco that happened with Fez in regards to the whole patching and the whole issue with lost saves and things like that. So Yeah, he is kind of staying very much away. He's been applauding the PlayStation 4 and Sony's approach to get indies on there and to actually self-publish. It's almost a given as to where indies are going to go. I mean, it's not just been Phil Fish. I mean, you look at the developer of Retro City Rampage. I mean, he's also turned around and said that it's going to be a case of heading towards the PlayStation in future, because Microsoft are just making it so difficult, and I don't understand really why.
I completely agree. And when you've got someone like Lorne Lanning, who's been in this industry for years, for ages, who can't put a game on this platform because of seemingly needless bureaucracy.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. And the thing is, like the whole gatekeeping thing, it doesn't work. Essentially, Microsoft's holding developers to ransom, saying, well, you either pay us, either indie devs have to pay Microsoft to be on one platform, or go out, find a third-party publisher, and then take a hit across all of those platforms, when it just doesn't seem right. When they could just sort of go onto the PS4 and just be like, okay, we're just going to self-publish here.
Going to have all of the money. Well, most
have
of
all of the rights.
But this is the thing. Like, the fact that it's turned out that when Microsoft have exclusivity, the exclusive period, after that, no matter which platform the game's on, they get a cut off.
Well, that's because Microsoft Studios are the publisher then.
Yeah, and it's really, I can imagine it's so frustrating. Whereas, if you go and self-publish on Steam, or you self-publish on the PlayStation 4, they're going to have their cut, and rightly so, because you're using their servers and using their infrastructure. But then the rest goes to the developer. It's absolute madness. And at the moment, it's not like Microsoft can say, oh, well, we've got the player base, we've got the numbers of consumers there that are ready to take your to play and buy your games, because the Xbox One isn't out yet, and already all the indie developers are going, well, yeah, PlayStation 4, I can do it on there and have all the money. Bye. You can't blame them.
It's incredibly frustrating as well, because Microsoft made it incredibly easy to develop for the Xbox 360.
Yes.
They made, and they had competitions. They really pushed, to a certain extent, indie games on the system. But again, you had the gatekeeping of publishers there. But they made a concerted effort to go out and try and foster talent themselves, which is admirable. And then, of course, there was Xbox Live Indie Games, which was a fantastic unique selling point that they never really capitalized on. They then shut down their XNA program, completely abandoned that, and they haven't announced anything to replace it, which is incredibly problematic in the age of bedroom development and things like iOS, because you'd think with Microsoft not only on games consoles but across a number of different platforms, that's exactly the sort of market they want to be tapping into, because it's so lucrative.
But that would make sense. And none of this does. It's just, I don't know.
Why, Microsoft? We're trying to help you. For the love of God. Right, I'm bored of Microsoft.
Let's move away.
Let's get off Microsoft and let's go on to ragging on someone else. Nintendo!
Yay! What have they done this week on our weekly segment of Nintendo Balls Up?
Nintendo Balls Up.
Yeah.
Well, as much as I think, first of all, we've got to deal with this EA quote from the top of the week. Yeah. Very, very straightforward. Nintendo need to sell more boxes to fix this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Frank Chabot. But he's right.
Yeah.
Everyone, even Ubisoft, have turned around and said it. And the thing that we had that news post as well, where you had Iwata and Reggie Fils-Aimé basically saying, look, we're not looking at anyone else. We're concentrating on our own thing. We don't care what Microsoft or Sony are doing. And on one hand, that's admirable.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's complete idiocy, surely.
Yeah, I mean, this is a thing. The we've been over this. The Wii didn't compete with the other two consoles. The Wii U is. And so they surely have to be paying attention to what the rest of the competition's doing. And it's almost a problematic situation for them in that the publishers have said, they need to shift more boxes for us to make games for them. But the problem is, Nintendo need more games for them to shift boxes and games that are coming out soon. And I think this is one of the big issues with Ubisoft pushing back Rayman Legends. That game was coming out at the top of the year. It was going to be out in February, and then they turned around and went, no, we're pushing it towards the end of the year so we can have ports come out on other consoles. And that, if the game had been out now, it would have been one more reason to get a Wii U. And that isn't there. And so how on earth are they going to sell boxes if they haven't got any games coming in the summer? It's almost like it's going full circle. I can't see how they're going to get themselves out of it. Or, it's almost as if EA and all the other publishers have turned around and gone, well, we're just saying this to make a point, but we're not going to do anything about it. And they don't have to, frankly.
What's worrying as well is when you get something like when you get someone like Shigeru Miyamoto who came out on Friday and said, we just kind of run out of ideas for F-Zero, that's why it's not coming back. And you kind of look at that and you think, Nintendo, you've made a career. You've made billions of yen out of rehashing ideas and basically doing that for decades. What? How is you literally did it with New Super Mario Brothers U? It's a launch game. Like, I don't really understand why they couldn't have sort of buffed up a few old classics and released them in this really empty year window. Even the 3DS had Ocarina of Time 3D within 3 months of release.
Yes.
We're having to wait over 6 months for Wind Waker. Well, yeah, it's going to be about a year when Wind Waker comes out. That's not good enough. We are getting Pikmin 3 and Wonderful 101 at some point over the next sort of 3 months. Yeah. But is anyone really going to buy that without a price cut? And the thing is, Nintendo keeps saying, "Oh, we need to do this. We need to market it better. We need to explain ourselves better. We need to create games that ourselves that make third parties want to get involved because consumers will want to get involved. We need to do all of this." They've been saying that for the best part of a year, and we haven't seen anything.
Yeah, and I think one of the big problems is that they're saying that they're not explaining it well. They're not getting into the mainstream media to get noticed. And then you've got the PlayStation 4, which is getting recognition from major sites. You've got people like What Hi-Fi covering the Xbox U-turn. That this is all happening in the mainstream media. And meanwhile, the Wii U is getting absolutely nothing. So it's even more troublesome. They need to get out there and they need to do something to really show it. I mean, perhaps hire Anton Deck again to do some adverts or something. I don't know. It's just, they need to do something, and they're not doing anything other than saying, like you say, just going, yeah, we need to do that. Let future Nintendo deal with it. They'll be fine. That's basically, I think, what their current stance is. Let future Nintendo deal with it.
But the really galling thing is that we've been saying this since before the Wii U's release. Like, It's not as if Nintendo haven't had time to get their houses in order and at least get anything ready in this period. Pikmin 3 was supposed to be a launch game. It got pushed back. Where's the remedy? Where's the stuff that comes in that middle period? If Pikmin 3 was supposed to be a launch game, where was the stuff that was going to come after it and capitalize on it? Yeah. Instead, it's just Pikmin 3 and Platinum trying to save the day.
I mean, I don't see why they haven't been trying to push more indies to come along and put stuff on the Wii U e-store. Just get it on there so that they have titles that come in that are interesting and exciting, and get people going, oh, yeah, that's on the store. I can get that. That's something I can play. But they haven't even done that, even though they have the capability and are trying to encourage indie game developers to do it. It's just, why, Nintendo? Why?
Right, Dealsphone top tip for you, Nintendo. Get Octodad on the Wii U.
Oh, good God, yes. Imagine that with the tablet, like the gamepad. It'd be sweet.
Just thinking about that makes me excited. It'll never happen.
Yes. Never.
But I wish it would. Because actually, that's exactly the sort of thing that like Nintendo could use. Like interesting games, they really need to be pushing something out of the door
Yeah,
that's even remotely essential. Um,
and yet they
and they're
aren't.
not. Has there
Boo.
been any sort of happy news this week? Has there been happy news this week? We need to tap into some happy news.
We need some happy news. I suppose we can go with the positive sides. I mean, it's not all been doom and gloom. Warner Brothers Interactive have turned around and said we're a believer in the Wii U. Honestly, we hope everything's going to work out. It's just good for the industry, and we agree with that. Having competition is good. It's healthy. It means that companies are pushing themselves. But yeah, I don't think that I don't think that Nintendo are going to survive on just Warner Brothers, unfortunately.
Yeah, Lego City is amazing.
Oh God, yes.
It's really good, and of course that's why Warner Brothers are saying this. They have a flagship game out on the Wii U, and thank God for them, because without that game, would anyone buy a Wii U? Probably not.
Well, there's the Zombie U, but even that's a very niche title as well. So it's I just.
You've got a friend there, Nintendo. My God, keep it.
Good God, yes.
Dear Lord, keep it. Other good news: Thief 4 will be coming to current gen consoles. You won't have to buy a brand new console to play Garrett's latest adventure, which we like.
Woo!
That's totally awesome. And the whole Xbox 180 doesn't mean online passes are coming back.
Oh, thank God for that. Yes.
No.
I think that was the first thing that people were worried about as soon as it happened. They were going, uh-oh, EA's going to U-turn as well. The pass is going to come back. And yeah, I'm very glad that they're not going to do that. And yeah, I'm just glad they didn't, frankly.
Exactly. Like, I mean, they've sort of self-flagellated over this. They've apologized. None of their apologies have been terribly sincere, because they keep saying, "Oh, we're really listening to consumers," and you wonder how it took 3 years for them to listen. But don't look a gift horse in the mouth. So that's good news. Other good news: Planetside 2.
Yep.
Will be free. Completely free. Like, you will not need a PlayStation Plus subscription to play that shit online.
Oh, happy days. Oh, happy day. It was the best thing that they could have announced. I mean, it's not only that, also DC Universe Online as well, which will have the same, which will be free. Although, to be fair, you'll be playing Planetside and you'll be fighting for the TR. So it's all fair enough. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And in a way, it's justified as well, because they will be making money through the microtransactions that you get for buying weapons and skins and things like that. So it makes sense, and it means that when you buy a console, you can be playing online from day one, which is a brilliant game. So yeah, brilliant, fantastic move.
I agree. And actually, yeah, you made a really good point there. It means day one, you'll have at least 3 games.
Yeah.
Well, no, 2. Well, at least 2 games that you can play merrily. One of them being a AAA shooter that is actually just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And of course, if you've got PlayStation Plus, well, you have Drive Club Lite as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More choice. More choice. We like choice.
More choice. Also, other good news this week, sort of continuing good news, I suppose. Microsoft have announced their monthly timetable for free Xbox Live Gold games. On the 1st and the 16th of every month, you'll get a free game.
Fantastic. Free stuff is good.
Totally awesome.
I do hope that they kind of make the games a bit more, relevant, perhaps. Because I have brought this up before, Assassin's Creed 2 and Halo, great games several years ago, but not necessarily the games I want to be playing now when I already own them and have played them. So,
I agree. They could have sweetened that deal a little bit better. I mean, if they just sort of come out swinging and said, "Oh, what, Halo 4 is going to be free this month?" What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, people would have been like, "What? Microsoft?" Oh, that would have been applause.
Absolutely.
I would have clapped my hands like a seal. and ecstasy.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. This is what they need. They need a killer title to be on the system, or sorry, on the service, and people will flock to it, even if it's just for 1 month, or if they go for the 3-month option. You know, that's instantly a huge cash injection for them. People try out the service, they might stick around. You know, this is what they need, and yeah, I'm hopefully in the next few months we'll see something like that come from Microsoft, because God knows they need it. God knows they need the good press, frankly.
Damn straight. Also, final bit of kind of good news. DICE are really, really concerned with getting 60 frames per second on next-gen consoles, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. Imagine that with Battlefield 4 and the destruction coming down and jet skis everywhere. John will probably have a heart attack. Probably. He'll fall into an infuriate coma, I would guess.
Pretty much.
Yep.
I mean, the big thing was well, for Battlefield 3, we had to weigh up the discrepancy because we got both versions, and we had to and the PC was clearly the definitive version, and we won't have to do that anymore.
I mean, actually, a quick question: is the console version also getting 64 players?
Yes,
it is. See, yes. You're right. We're not going to have to necessarily make that differentiation between the two now. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what they bring out for Battlefield 4, because, well, as far as the multiplayer goes, not so as the single player, that can go away, but still multiplayer. Oh my God, it's going to be great.
Obviously, as well, kind of when we get to kind of like Battlefield 6. All the way down the line, there'll probably be some discrepancy again. Like PCs will be running like 90 frames per second, and they'll have like 256 players in. Just be like, what? And consoles will still be on 64. Be like, nah, 64, you dicks. But that's something for future us to deal with.
Future us worry about it. I think that's the kind of like the motto of the industry right now. Let future us deal with it.
It actually is. That works out really nicely, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna let future us just worry about all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
meanwhile, we'll just play all of the good games that are on the GOG sale. Oh, good God.
So yeah, Deals Phone top tip this week. Go to GOG, buy all of the games.
All of them.
All of them. And after you've done playing all of them, come back on site and tell us about it. So yeah, until then, I think that's us done for this week. We'll catch you next time, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.